Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 15th November 2023, brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy. Okay, let's get into the today's newspaper analysis. So mentioned here are the list of articles which we are going to have the analysis in the upcoming slides. So have a look at it. Okay, let's get into the analysis of each and every articles one by one. 9 things to do for clean air. So this is the article related to the present situation of air pollution, why the air pollution is prevailing and what need to be done. So since the news is related to environment, under prelims it is related to general issues on environmental ecology, biodiversity and climate change. Similarly under mains it is related to GS paper 3 environment under a subtopic called conservation, environmental pollution, degradation, environmental impact assessment. See, the air pollution is the 5th largest cause of death in India, and it has led to a premature death of nearly 1.6 million people in 2019, which is 3 times greater than the COVID related death. And then in terms of economic losses, nearly 7 lakh crore has been lost in terms of the economic growth, which is nearly 1/3 of the annual GST collection. So why we failed to improve the situation, that is the prevailing air pollution condition, is because of the fragmented approach. The fragmented approach means, see, the air pollution, the air does not have any kind of borders, but the bureaucracy or the governance have the broad borders, and each areas within the borders will be governed by a set of people, and the set of rules and regulations will be varied from one boundary to another boundary. Because of this fragmented approach, and then addressing the symptoms, that is the aftermath of the pollution, not directly dealing with the root cause of the air pollution. The example, once the air pollution has got increased means a knee-jerk reaction like closing down the construction sites and spraying the waters or the dust suppressant to compress the air particles that is suspended in the lower atmosphere. And then secondly, the fractured system of governance, as I said, and then not only governance, it is also the fractured system of financing as well as the implementation of schemes or policy being formed by the government. So these are the things which made us to fail to improve the current air pollution situation. So what need to be done is that, first and foremost, we have to realize that it is the human induced problem, not the natural induced problem or the environment induced problems, and it is vulnerable to the vulnerable section of it have some negative implications on the vulnerable section of society, peoples like children, elder people, rural community, but those people, those vulnerable population have contributed only less amount to the air pollution. And at the same time, we should also learn from the best practices that is prevailing in the other countries, like in the case of Los Angeles, Mexico City, as well as the London. These are all the areas where the air pollution was higher at one period of time, but after some stringent implementation as well as policy making, it got reduced, and now they are one of the cleanest city in the world. So from those cities, best practices should also be adopted as well as adapted according to our needs. But what is the constraint we are facing in implementing or forming those kind of policy is, see, because of the ever increasing or rapid increasing of population growth and its related impact. Secondly, increased unplanned urbanization is also causing havoc in the air pollution mitigation strategies. So what the 9 approaches that has been suggested by this article is, what it is saying is that the integrated approach to limit the emission and at the same time to reduce the exposure of the people to the pollution. Example, limiting the emission from the coal based power plants as well as the industrial effluents, and also at the same time preventing the people from getting exposed to the pollutants, like in the case of Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, through which we government has supplied the clean fuel to the people so that they get their cooking method has got transformed from the biomass based cooking to clean fuel cooking, which in turn led to reduced exposure to the kind of air pollution that is arising because of the biomass fuel based cooking. Secondly, affordable green urban transport need to get implemented, so it will have a win-win situation. Like in the case of, it will act against the climate change negative impact by reducing the carbon footprint which is arising because of the fossil fuel based economy. Secondly, it will be leading to the rapid integration as well, the rapid green transport integrated transport will be leading to faster economic growth, and at the same time it will be having increased number of job opportunities. Thirdly, widespread electrification of buildings, vehicles as well as the entire production process wherever possible, so that a shift will be made across the value chain from the fuel based fossil fuel based economy to the non fossil fuel based economy, and then adapting to the regional or the airshed approach. As I said at the initial point of the discussion, that is, the air does not have any kind of borders, but the bureaucracy or the governance have the borders, and the rules and regulation varies according to the borders. But the air pollution will have same kind of negative impact on people without it does not have any kind of thing like that of borders. So a regional approach should be made rather than the piecemeal or the individual cities or town based approach. And then end to end construction as well as waste management need to be made so that it will limit the air pollution, and at the same time, because of reusing the waste construction materials and also the other wastage materials, it will be leading to reduction in the minings that is happening or the illegal minings that is happening in the natural river bodies. And then a strong legislation without fearing any kind of lobby or any kind of pressure from the interest group, and then a strong enforcement need to be made. Finally, seventh strategy is the wide scale citizen awareness and then citizen mobilization need to get enhanced, so that they will also become a part and parcel of the climate mitigation policy, climate mitigation related policy making as well as the implementation, and at the same time it will enable them to change their lifestyle from the unsustainable based to the sustainable based lifestyle, like in the case of the recently proposed life mission in the recently held conference of party under United Nations framework for Convention on Climate Change. And then see, the recently the 15th Finance Commission has given weightage to urban increased weightage to the water scarcity, so like that, which is happening because of the climate change. But what the news article has said is that this 16th Finance Commission should give importance or weightage to the air pollution as well as climate change. So the revenues need to be distributed according to this kind of indicators also, which is the new indicators need to be included in the next Finance Commission, that is the 16th Finance Commission. And then the best science and technology need to get adapted as well as adopted to monitor the timely air pollution incidents and also alert the entire system of the governance. Such kind of precise science and technology method should also get adapted for the monitoring as well as implementing the rules and regulation in relation to the pollution. So these are all the 9 approaches being suggested in this article to overcome the recently prevailing air pollution, most importantly in the Delhi area. So this is what the thing. So as I said, see the the implementation or the way forward that has been given in the previous slide might be easy when we are reading, but in the direct implementation stage, it will have some huge amount of task efforts, but this kind of efforts task has been made by the Mexico cities during 1990s to 2010, and then the Chinese, and at the same time the Los Angeles in US also done during the 1960s to overcome the air pollution that were prevailing in their cities, which is way higher than the currently prevailing air pollution in the Delhi's NCR region. So what need to be studied further is we should know about the air quality forecast as well as research system, and then air quality index and national ambient air quality standards, and then what is air act, what is water act, and what are all the important provision comes underneath it, and which ministry is responsible for implementation of those corresponding acts. So these are all the important things which we need to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this article. Four out of 5 organ recipients are men. NOTTO data. So the news is related to organ transplant. So under prelims it is related to general science. Similarly under mains it is related to awareness in the field of IT, space, computers, robotics, nanotechnology, biotechnology, and issues relating to IPR. So according to the data that has been released by NOTTO, that is the National Transplantation Agency, an apex body of Government of India, what it has said is that between 1995 to 2021, 4 out of 5 organ recipients are the men. So what the experts are saying is that there is a gender bias in recipient of the organ because of the negative attributes that is prevailing in the society, like in the case of patriarchal system, and then so like protecting the earning male members, so that the male members in the family are given priority in accessing the organ transplant treatment. Like in the case of the parents of the girl children are hesitating to take the organ transplant treatment to their girl child because of the fear about puberty and baby carrying capacity. These are all the things which hinders the parents to make their girl child to available for the organ transplantation. So that this kind of social factors is playing a huge role in reducing the number of female or women participate in the organ transplantation. So this is happening even though the cause of the disease is equally affecting the both men and women. So this is on the one hand. On the other hand, the women donors are proportionally higher when compared to men donors. So on the one hand, women are highly contributing donating their organs to the common cause. On the other hand, it is the men those who are receiving the donated organ out in terms of nearly 4 out of 5 organ recipient treatment. So this is what the data is. So out of total 10,340 transplant that has happened during 2018, the living donor transplanted nearly, that is those people, those who haven't died, but they have donated their organs to other people is 78.19%, and then deceased donor, that is those person or people who have died have donated their organs to other people, and their percentage is 21.81%. And we could able to see that in the last 5 years, that is from 2018 to 22, the living donors transplant is way higher when compared to the deceased donor transplant. And in terms of cities or the states, the Delhi is having the higher number of living donor transplant, and in the case of deceased donor transplant, it is Tamil Nadu that is leading the rank. In case of the living donor transplant also, Tamil Nadu occupies second rank after Delhi. So this is what the data brings about. So let's have a look into what is this NOTTO, that is National Organ Tissue and Transplant Organization. It is the organization which comes under, as I said, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and its function is to act as the apex body for coordinating as well as networking the organ procurement as well as distribution, and at the same time they also should act as the registry of the organ transplantation, and at the same time they should lay down the policies as well as protocols in relation to the organ transplantation, that is the organ procurement as well as their distribution, and they need to coordinate with the similar agencies that is present at the state level, at the region level, so that this organ transplantation efficiency will get increased. There won't be any kind of malpractice that will be prevailing in the system. So what are all the different types of organ donation that is present? As I said, there are two types of organ donation that is prevailing in the India, not only in India, across the globe. It is deceased donor transplantation and then living donor transplantation. Under deceased donor transplantation, see the person could able to donate 6 life-saving organs like kidney, liver, heart, lungs, pancreas, intestine, apart from that, along with the 31 organs. These 31 non-life-saving organs plus this 6 life-saving organs, that is a deceased person could able to donate nearly 37 organs to others after he has died. And if the deceased person's organ need to be obtained, means then their family consent is very important. After a person has been died because of the natural cardiac death, he could also give organs like cornea, bone, skin, and as well as blood vessels. This is apart from the brain death, that is the organ, this is apart from the 37 organs. What is the living donors transplantation is, a person who hasn't died and who is living could able to donate the organ to other person, but the number of organs that he or she could donate is very limited. See, donate one kidney, only one of the kidney and portion of pancreas and part of the liver. So only these three organs only they could be donated to other person even during their lifetime. So this is what the details in relation to the types of organ transplantation. What need to be studied further is, we should know about what is green corridor. Secondly, we should also be aware of the Transplantation of Human Organs and Tissues Act 1994, the act which regulates the organ transplantation in India. So we should be aware of it along with the important provisions as well as the implementing agencies apart from NOTTO. And then we should be aware of what is B cell, what is T cell, and what is the difference between both of them. So these are all the other things we should be aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Food subsidy likely to exceed the budget estimate by 18,000 crore. So the news is related to food subsidy. Under prelims it is linked with a topic called economic and social development. Similarly, under mains it is related to a subtopic called issues related to direct and indirect farm subsidies, MSPs, PDS and its objective functioning, limitation, buffer stocks, as well as food security, technology mission, and then economics of animal rearing. So this under this topic only the news has been related to examination. So the food subsidy has exceeded by 18,000 crore, that is to 2.4 trillion due to the increased MSP that was announced in this year. So the increase doesn't affect the center's fiscal deficit aim of 5.9%. The MSP has increased this year, which is very higher when compared to 2018, the year where the 50% profit over the computed cost of production was adopted. And then the free food grain scheme, which is implemented this year, also won't have any kind of effect in the estimate. Why? Because most of the states doesn't availed their quota from the central godown, so that the cost that has been saved from such kind of thing will be used for the other administrative things, so that it will be leading to same amount of fiscal deficit which the government has aimed this year. So this is what the news is. And the supply of free food grains, in addition to the already given subsidized food grains under National Food Security Act, was implemented or began its operation during financial year 2021, aftermath of the pandemic. But it got extended, and it got extended till December financial year 2023, that is this year. But right now, that is this January 2023, this Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana got linked with National Food Security Act, so that the persons those who are paying a minimum amount of rupees 2 per kg, 2 or 3 per kg for the rice or wheat, will now, from now onwards, will be getting this food at free of cost. And this scheme, that is the linkage between the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana with National Food Security Acts, this kind of scheme has been extended till 2028. So this is what the news is about. So what are all the different types of or the components of food subsidy that is prevailing in India? First is subsidy to FCI. It is the Food Corporation of India that is responsible for procurement, storage, transportation, and as well as distribution of the food grains across state, so that their cost will be subsidized by government. Secondly, due to decentralized procurement, certain state will do the similar activity which has been done by Food Corporation of India, like procuring the farm products, storing, transporting, as well as distributing them to the different fair price shops, and the cost burned by the state will also be subsidized by the central government. Thirdly, the sugar subsidy. So these are all the components of food subsidy that is prevailing in India, and this is what the data is in relation to the food subsidy that was given from 2010-11 to 2020-21 period. So we could able to see that percentage of allocation that has been utilized got reduced from 115% to 59%, and then the food subsidy is also got increased, and we could able to see that it got increased during more during the pandemic time, that is 2020-21. So this is what the data is in relation to the food subsidies about for the past 10 years. So what are all the factors that will affect the food subsidy in a country is, most importantly in India, is the rising of MSPs. See, the rising of MSPs or the decrease of MSPs will correspondingly have an impact on the food subsidy. Secondly, the leakage in PDS will also be leading to increased food subsidy. Then exclusion and also inclusion error will also be having the fiscal burden on the government. Fourthly, emergency situation, like in the case of COVID pandemic, where the introduction of schemes called Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, which increased the food subsidy burden on government of India. So these kind of situations will add to the food subsidy. So what is the advantage of food subsidy is that, first and foremost, it will alleviate the inflation situation or the inflationary expectation on the people. Secondly, it will ensure the distributive justice among the people. Thirdly, it will ensure that the malnutrition as well as hunger will be reduced, or it will ensure that it won't get enhanced. So these are all the advantage the food subsidy has in an economy. But it has some disadvantage like increased fiscal burden. So increased fiscal burden will lead to correspondingly will lead to less finance availability for capital expenditure, and then it will be leading to since the food sector has been heavily administered by government, and the free market has less thing to do in those sector, it will lead to reduced investment, private investment. So these are all the disadvantage of food subsidy has. So what need to be studied further is, we should know about what is MSP, what is PDS system, and what is National Food Security Act 2013 and the important provision which comes under it. So these are all the other things which we need to be aware of. And with this, we have reached the end of this topic. AL-SHIFA hospital. So the news is related to the recent news about power as well as water supply has been cut down in the AL-SHIFA hospital, which is right now treating the patients in the Gaza Strips. So since the news is related to current event of national as well as international importance, similarly under mains it is related to GS paper 2, effect of policies and politics on of developed as well as developing countries on India's interest and Indian diaspora. So as I said, the Gaza Strip largest as well as advanced hospital AL-SHIFA will no longer will be receiving the power as well as water. Until now 40 patients have died and hundreds have been trapped inside the hospital. So why AL-SHIFA hospital is important is, it is the cornerstone for Gaza, or the people who are in Gaza before the war, that is the Israel-Hamas war, and it is located in the Gaza city, that is the north of Palestinian enclave, which is now been encircled by the Israeli force. And what the Israeli force are saying is that this hospital is being present at the top of 6-story building, which under which it houses the Hamas militants. So that is why it has been encircled, and it also acted as a shelter for those who displaced after war. Most importantly, what the Israel forces are saying is that it acted as shelter for the Hamas militants, and those Hamas militants are using them as the civilians, those who are present in the hospital, as the shield. And as I said, it has been encircled by Israel force, and this is what but US has raised concern in relation to the suffering of those people in the hospital. So what is the situation as the hospital is that nearly 650 patients as well as 500 to 5,000 to 7,000 displaced civilians are trapped inside the hospitals. So and what the Hamas militants has claimed is that nearly 40 patients have been already died, and most of the people have been are in the verge of death. So what does the international humanitarian law says? So under international humanitarian law, the hospitals gets protection during the war. Even they lose protection in the case of the combatants use the premises to hide fighters or store weapons. Even in such a situation also, then warnings need to be given before the attack, so that the civilians will get a safe passage to escape from those hospitals. So this is what the international humanitarian law has been saying, saying with relation to the siege of the hospital by the militants or the person or the group of person who have been involved in the war. So these are all the things in relation to the AL-SHIFA hospital. And so what are all the things which we need to study further is, we should know about what is the Israel-Hamas war, what is the cause of it, and what is the regional implication it has. Secondly, we should be aware of the map of entire Middle East region. Thirdly, we should also be aware of the effect of war on India, most importantly on energy security and also on India's diaspora. So these are all the other things which we need to be aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Airport to metro, how non-core business brings the firms more money. So the news is related to the infrastructure. Under prelims it is related to economic and social development. Similarly under mains GS paper 3, under a subtopic called Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. See, the mega airports like Delhi, Indira Gandhi International Airport as well as Mumbai Chhatrapati Shivaji International Airport, the data from their balance sheet, what it is saying is that they are earning more revenues from the non-core areas, like in the case of shopping, hospitality centers as well as real estate development. In the case of Delhi Metro, the non-core revenue has also got increased, and this non-core revenue, why the operator of those stations or the infrastructure establishment are increasing their non-core revenue is to de-risk the business and at the same time subsidize the core operations to keep the service economical for the consumers. And at the same time, IRCTC also generated a net profit from e-ticketing service, then from its core catering as well as rail near, that is rail water sales in 2023, that is this financial year 2023. So this is what the data is about. The Indira Gandhi, the Delhi's Indira Gandhi's international airlines is being operated by a private organization. So it has generated a operating revenue of nearly 3,990 crore, out of which 938 crore came from the aeronautical services and charge, and the remaining 2,477 crores came from non-aeronautical services and charges. So we could able to see the non-core revenue is getting increased, and at the same time that the Delhi's Indira Gandhi aeronautical revenues share dropped to 24% in financial year 23 from 30% in 2019 financial year. So this is what the thing is, and at the same time you could also see that the non-aeronautical revenue share is also relatively stable, and it is averaging around nearly 58% in the last 5 years out of the overall collection that has happened in the last 5 years. So this is what the thing is. So under Mumbai's Chhatrapati Shivaji Airport terminal, it also saw a drop in the aeronautical revenue to 38% in financial year from the 46% in the financial year 2019, and at the same time the non-aeronautical revenue also jumped to 62% from 54%. So this is what the thing with relation to the Delhi as well as Mumbai's airport is about. And at the same time the Hyderabad's metro has also expanded its share of traffic revenue to 68% in financial year 23 from the 53% that was prevailing in 29. So increase in ridership, as the increase in ridership led to the Hyderabad metro to generate more amount of advertisement revenue when compared to 2019 financial year. So this is what the data is with relation to the establishment, the infrastructure establishment like airports, metro station in the major cities about. So what need to be studied further is we should know about the privatization, the entire aspect of privatization. Secondly, we should also be aware of the metro rail system and also the transport infrastructure, that is most importantly the electric transport infrastructure as well as the integrated transport infrastructure which the cities are now planning to build. So these are all the other areas which we need to be aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Okay, let's have a look into the prelims practice question. So mentioned here is the today's practice prelims question. Those students, those who are watching this session online, please do comment the option point for the question which you are seeing right now on the board. Okay, with this we have reached the end of the session. Please do like, comment, share as well as subscribe Ganesh IAS YouTube channel so that you could get a daily notification with relation to the current affairs and also any other important sessions that will be brought to you in the future by Ganesh IAS Academy. Thank you.